Hi, my name is Kaelin, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast, Unwind. On Unwind, I'm going to be talking about all things self-care. Last episode, I talked with my guest, Rachel Toby, about her experiences with stress and test anxiety throughout high school. Today, me and my guest, Adeline will be talking about our experiences with FOMO and our experiences along navigating toxic friendships and relationships. Many people experience FOMO in their everyday life without even realizing it. FOMO is the fear of missing out on experiences or just being left out. As social media gets increasingly more popular, people feeling FOMO has increased. According to research done by Baylor University, approximately 75% of young adults struggle with FOMO. Your relationship with social media can be good, but it can turn toxic very quickly with FOMO. People start to feel the need to always be online in fear of missing something important. You can have toxic relationships with social media, but you can also have toxic relationships with people. According to youth.gov, studies have shown that as many as 76% of teens have experienced a toxic relationship due to physical or emotional abuse. Relationships at the surface level can seem fine at first, but at its base can be toxic. Some signs your relationship might be toxic are as follows: lack of communication, toxic or verbal communication, envy and jealousy, controlling behaviors, resentment, dishonesty, disrespect, ignoring your needs, and always feeling like you're walking on eggshells, to just name a few. While these are good warning signs, this doesn't mean that your relationship is fully toxic. So before you cut it off because of these signs, make sure to talk to your partner about it. Although most people think of dating when they think of toxic relationships, dating is not the only time it comes up. It is also commonly seen in friendship. The Mental Health Association states that 84% of women and 74% of men have experienced a toxic friendship. Toxic friendships are common life experiences, so it is important that you learn how to see through the signs and learn how to break it off. Some signs of toxic friendships are disrespecting your boundaries, always seeming like they need something from you, not taking accountability, weaponizing their struggles, making you feel guilty for being with other people, dismissing your values, and ignore your efforts to be a good friend. But those are just a few. Toxic signs can show up in all different ways. It is also important to remember that some friendships just aren't meant to be. I understand it can be hard to cut someone off, especially a person you used to be good friends with, but sometimes it is important. Trust me, I would know. I used to have a friend I knew since she was born, but she started displaying toxic traits like putting me down, getting mad at me for hanging out with other people, and using me. Even after I talked to her about it, she prevailed and continued to show these behaviors. At this point, I knew I had to cut it off. I talked to my mom asking for help, and she helped me cut her off. I broke contact even though it was hard. Anyways, let's get into the interview. My interviewee is Adeline. She is currently a freshman at Corning-Painted Post High School. Tell me a bit about yourself, Addie.
Hello. As she said, I'm Adeline. I'm a freshman at Corning-Painted Post High School, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So before we start, I'd like to say that this is a vulnerable subject, and I do thank you for being so open with me.
Of course.
So I'm going to start off with the topic of FOMO. How has FOMO appeared in your life?
It appears a lot, actually. I get it a lot, especially because now I'm in a relationship and he does things without me, and it's a lot.
Do you think usage of social media has increased your feeling of FOMO?
Yes. Yes, it has, because your friends, if and invite you and you can't go and everyone else can, they could post about it and you could feel really bad about it and feel horrible about not being able to go.
Yeah, I know how that feels. Recently, this is kind of seems toxic, but it's not. All my friend group went to tags, and I wasn't able to go. So to be honest, when I got left out, I felt kind of jealous. Do you think FOMO has led to jealousy in your life?
Absolutely. I'm going to speak experience here with my boyfriend. He has a group of friends, and 2 of them are girls, and sometimes she'll be really touchy with him, and I'm it makes me uncomfortable.
I totally feel that. How do you deal with feeling left out?
I don't really deal with it. Honestly,
I throw fits.
I just push it down.
Honestly, it's not the best way to deal with it, but it works.
It
works.
Eventually, I stopped being bad about it.
Exactly. As you've gotten older, have you felt an increase or a decrease in FOMO?
Increase, especially with being in high school. And, like, a big thing of being in high school is that you will lose a bunch of your old friends. And you'll have new ones. And those friends will make it worse, I guess. Like, your old ones.
Yeah.
And they'll make you feel horrible about it.
Yeah, no, I got, like, a whole new set of friends this year.
Me too.
And definitely a few of them were, like, my few old friends were not too happy about that.
That's how I felt with this year, especially getting closer to some of my friends that I hang out with a bunch now.
Yeah. Anyways, how do you stay connected with life in attempts to avoid FOMO?
I like to make plans with people a lot more, and I try to make the group plans with my schedule so everyone can go.
Yeah, just feeling like you can fit everyone in.
Yeah.
Can you share an experience where FOMO influenced your decision making?
One experience that happened was my friends wanted to go to the mall with me, but I had made plans with one of my closest friends to go to their house, and I ended up choosing to go to my friend's house instead of going to the mall, and I feel like I did better with that decision because with that friend group I normally felt like I was left out, if that makes sense.
Do you think FOMO can help your decision making?
It really depends on who it is.
That's fair. In what ways do you think FOMO impacts your social interactions and relationships?
I think that FOMO will impact your relationships, especially if you get it really bad, because say like your boyfriend has a group of friends that he hangs out with a lot, and especially if there's like girls in that group too, and it could make you feel really upset and like maybe lash out on that person.
This feels like a personal attack, Addie.
It's not.
Okay, tell yourself that.
Speaking from experience.
Speaking from the heart, be Fletcher. Anyways, is there anything specific you think triggers your FOMO?
I don't really think so. I think it's just when they post about all of their a group's adventures and you're not there, and especially if you like always get left out in that group, I say, like you could feel it a lot more.
Yeah, way back in 8th grade, I experienced that so much.
I did too.
Especially with like sports teams.
Oh my god, the sports teams.
Yeah. Everyone is so close, and there's always that one person that always feels out of place.
That was me with my track friend group.
That was me with my volleyball friend group. No hate to any of the people that were
okay,
in that
no hate
group.
To anyone in my track group.
I just felt
Please,
a little left out,
no
guys.
Hate.
No hate, guys.
No hate.
Speaking from the heart, we're positive.
Speaking from the heart.
Do you think there's positive effects alongside negative effects in FOMO?
I don't really think there's as much positive effects as negative effects, but there's definitely a lot more negative effects.
Can you elaborate on that?
Like, I think that you will think more negatively about yourself with the FOMO, and with that like negativity of yourself, you'll think negative of others, I say, and it's not that nice to think of people negatively.
Yeah, no.
Even if you're the only negative one.
That's a sign of toxic friendship, which if you keep listening, we're gonna get into that.
Yay!
Yay! Not yay to toxic friendships.
Yay to
getting farther in the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I definitely do think there's one main positive, and that's it can lead to seeing that your friends can be toxic if they continuously leave you out.
I agree.
Okay, thanks for being so lighthearted with me on this, but we're gonna segue into toxic friendships. When did you first start noticing toxicity in your life?
I think when like middle school started, but it wasn't really in 6th grade because we were all in one room, but it started a lot more in 7th grade when we started to actually move around in classrooms and like make our own friend groups and not just that group of people.
Yeah, in middle school, too much toxic. Like everyone's like, oh my god, high school is so much drama. No,
it's not.
It's middle school. Oh my god.
Middle school is what makes it worse.
It's a place. We kind of already got into this, but have you ever been excluded in the group? If so, how has it made you feel?
I have been so excluded in multiple groups. And especially in my 8th grade group, like, I went to the dance with the group. No hate to you guys. I still like you guys. But, like, you guys, I felt so left out because of, like, some of them were, like, distance runners, and I was the only one that threw, like, shot put, and it was really stressful.
Oh, the track clicks. They're really separating us. But, yeah, no hate to anyone who might have been in these groups. It's hard to include everyone sometimes.
It is really hard. I felt really upset and, like, depressed about it. I guess I'd say depressed, I guess. It just depends on how left out you feel, I would say.
What are some signs that you've noticed that pointed towards toxic friendships?
Some signs that I've seen are if they will they will hang out with you for a little bit, and as soon as another friend, like, texts them or they see them, they'll run off to them instead of you and just leave you in the dust. Or they will, like, they will act like you don't exist in front of people too. Like, they will be really two-faced.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. Over the summer, there was this one girl, and I was like, hey, do you want to hang out? And she was like, sure, but every time I brought it up, she would completely disregard it or say, sorry, I have plans, and then we just never hung out.
That happened to me with that friend, but I was the one that could never do anything, and I felt so bad.
Well, at least you feel bad about it, you know?
Yeah, but me and this person, we're really close now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. How'd you improve your relationship?
We have a class together, and we sit really close to each other. Well, we only have one class, but we sit really close to each other and talk to each other the whole time.
Well, it's not good to avoid your schoolwork, but it's good your relationship's gotten better.
Yeah, we still do our schoolwork, though.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Did you talk to this friend before breaking it off? If so, how did they respond, and what'd you say?
I recently dropped it. Well, it wasn't recently. It was more like last year. I dropped a really toxic friend. Like, I didn't talk to them about it because I knew that they would suck her up and, like, cry and, like, play victim. And I really didn't want to deal with that. So what I first did was unadd her and, like, unfollow her on socials. And then when she, like, noticed that, she came to talk to me, but I was like, I can't talk to you about this. I don't want you in my life anymore. Can you respect that? And she just has not respected that.
Oh. Has it been hard that she doesn't respect it? Like, does she invade on you still?
She still invades on me all the time.
Yikes.
And she'll ask me really personal questions, like, about me and the person I'm dating a lot. And it makes me super uncomfortable.
Yikes. Don't do that, people.
Please don't do that.
Can you share an experience when a friendship went toxic, and how'd you handle it?
In 8th grade, as in last year, I had a friend, and we got super close. We did a lot together, and, like, because we did a club together. But then slowly that person started to replace me, and I felt horrible about it. And, like, that affected me really badly. I wasn't really myself for a while, I guess. And I didn't really bring it up to them. I just, like, haven't started I just haven't talked to them in a while now. Probably isn't that helpful, but I just had a hard time acting as myself.
Yeah, I get that. I think you're a very different person this year. I think you've definitely grown a lot as a person.
I definitely feel like I've grown.
How'd you come back from such a low point?
I started cutting people out of my life that I talked to first. Like, if I texted them first constantly, I just haven't talked to them. I cut out people who were rude to me, or they, like, put me down so they could be a better person. And I've just started making new friends.
What's your best advice for anyone who's struggling to cut someone out?
I say think about it, because, like, yeah, you'll think about it a lot, but before you do it, make sure it's the right decision.
And I'm not saying you should always go to another person to talk about it, because they might feel like they're in the middle of it, but it's always good to
have someone you can talk to.
Yeah, it's to reach out
to, see how they're doing, explain your situation to them, and see their input.
Yeah. How do you differentiate normal conflict versus toxic conflicts?
I differentiate them by the person it is, really, because if it's, like, a conflict in, like, a relationship, you usually talk about that, and you both have a side of the story, and you want to fix it. But with toxic ones, they'll make you feel bad, and then that can like affect you and like your point of view, and like that will just not be a good thing. But like toxic ones are a lot worse. They will impact you a lot more.
In healthy conflicts, how do you make sure your side is seen and that your partner or your friend is understanding your point?
I ask them if they understand, and if they don't, I will explain further or like simpler.
Yeah, you gotta dumb it down.
That happens to me a lot. I'm like, can you explain this in a dumber way?
I know. When I explained I had to get you a gift, you're like, huh? Had to dumb it down real dumb for her.
I'm really slow.
No, really? Anyways, can you share insights on how your relationship has evolved for the better and worse?
I mean, with one specific person, it has not bettered because I have to continue to explain to her that I do not want her in my life over and over. And, like, I feel bad about it, but, like, I'll ignore her so she could get the hint maybe. But she just hasn't for, like, 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's super frustrating. But we were really close, so, like, I can see why. And her mom likes me, so, like...
Yeah, her mom is pretty nice.
I love her mom.
That's the hardest part of letting go of friends is moms. Like, aww. I knew this one girl, like, since she was born, and she had the sweetest mom ever. And then she was, like, being, like, kind of toxic towards me, and I had to cut her off, and it hurt. It hurt to cut her out. So, more on toxic relationships. Did your previous relationship evolve from a toxic friendship, or did it start out healthy?
It started out really healthy because I've known my ex for a while, since 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And it was super healthy in the beginning, and then it just got not well.
How do you think it went south?
I think it went south because they didn't really know how to be a partner. Mm-hmm. And they would treat me like an option and a friend as a girlfriend.
I see.
No hate to you. I sit next to you in health class.
No hate to any of these people. This is a learning experience. How do you communicate with your partner in your current relationship to prevent toxicity?
I communicate if I can tell he's upset, I will ask him to, like, what's wrong, and if he doesn't want to explain, I'll say that's fine, take your time. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And we just communicate a lot. Communication's the top thing in a relationship to me, because you want that person to be open with you, and if they have a problem, you can fix it.
How do you think he supports you in the relationship?
He supports me very positively. He's always been there for me, like, even before we've dated. He's been super sweet and understanding. And he's really awesome.
That's great. Can you share some examples of struggles you had to overcome during this toxic period?
Some struggles I have where I talked to my now boyfriend about it, because this isn't a good thing, but he's my ex's best friend. And, like, I really just talked to people about it, mm-hmm. and said, like, asked for their point of view. Plus, like, if you really don't, my biggest thing for a relationship is if you don't like anything about them, or like one little thing that impacts how you fully see this person, break up with them.
Yeah. I know this, like, huge trend of, like, icks is going around, but I feel like if you truly like someone, there's no icks. You should not have an ick. Funny.
You'll find it cute or funny. I truly don't get an ick with friends.
Yeah, I know.
With my current partner.
We're not going to name drop, guys.
I can't name drop, guys.
If you know, you know.
If you know who he is, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. What have you learned from these previous relationships?
I have learned multiple things, but one of the most important things I've learned is to communicate and set boundaries. Like, especially if you, like, want to do more than just, like, hug in a relationship. This is pretty weird, but you should talk about your boundaries and how comfortable you are with someone.
How do you set these boundaries?
You talk to them, I say. Like, you will talk to them, or, like, if it's going to happen, you're uncomfortable, like, you have to be like, hey, can you stop? I'm uncomfortable with this. Please stop or just explain, be like, hey, I know you like even like it might be hard to like communicate with them, especially if they like it, but you have to set this boundary for yourself so you don't have a toxic relationship.
So if they cross the line, your best advice is to just say no.
Say no, or please explain to them that you're not comfortable with anything Has it
been a struggle for you setting these boundaries?
Yes and no. It just depends on the situation, I guess.
Yeah. How have you gotten better at it? Like, how have you kept this relationship healthy and getting better?
I've kept this relationship healthy by communicating.
Yeah.
Communication's a top thing for me. Like, please communicate your feelings to partners and say how comfortable you are with things. And if, with my experience, like, I tell them everything that happens. Like, I would say he's my best friend.
Yeah, honestly, I think best friend before boyfriend, to be honest. Like, that's a great pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Has this previous toxic relationship affected your current one? If so, how?
Yes. It's affected me because with my ex-boyfriend, I did nothing. Like, I never did, like, anything that a girlfriend and boyfriend would do. We just, like, the biggest thing that we did was go on a date.
Oh, wow.
But we like, held hands twice. We haven't kissed. So, like, I've been, like, an open book, really. I've been experiencing new things with my boyfriend. And, yes, it's, like, kind of awkward. But, like, you will know what's best for you.
Well, thank you so much for these insightful answers, but I think it's time to wrap up. Well, thank you so much for opening about your experiences with FOMO and toxic relationships. It was great talking to you, Addie.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Of course. Today, my guest and I talked about FOMO and our personal experience with toxic relationships as well as friendships, and now we've navigated them. Next episode, I will be talking about the effect technology has on mental health. I'm Kaelin, and I'll see you next time on my podcast, Unwind.